Let me tell you something. If I accepted all the no's in my life, I wouldn't be here.
You
right
wouldn't.
now. Because all throughout life, you're going to hear no so many times.
Yes.
It could be your size. It could be anything. But the moment you understand your worth, the moment you understand who you are and adopt that authority and kick fear out of the room, you're unstoppable.
Welcome back to another episode of Aspire Higher with Charles and Yvana Bailey. We're so glad that you're back and been sticking with us. We hope that everything's going well in your world. It's going really good for us.
Yes, it is.
Traveling. Yeah. You've been presenting.
Working a lot.
Yeah, working a lot, man. But that's the nature of what we do, right?
That's right.
So anytime we get a chance to inspire people. Speaking of that, before we get into the show, you actually were inspiring some people where you were. I heard like kids were coming up to you.
Oh, yeah. So I love presenting.
Yeah.
And when I was in New York City, I got an opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to present on behalf of a brand. And it's really cool to be able to influence
you can
lives
say the brand
and
if you
impact
want
lives. It's amazing because when I think about children, I think about adults, there are a lot of people that are just looking for inspiration. They're looking for a nice hug, a nice smile, a high five.
Yeah.
I high five so many kids, but it's an honor and a privilege to be able to use my voice to encourage people, deliver information, and it's been really good.
That's really cool.
It's been really good.
Well, just to say thank you for your service, because clearly what I understood was that people were saying that they want to be like you.
Aww.
There were kids that were growing up, were looking at you and they were like, her braids, her voice, and look how tall and pretty, and you presented so well. You knew the material so well. Yeah. Anyway, that's just me giving you flowers.
Thanks.
But for you, our listener or our viewer, please do us a favor if you hadn't already. Get that like button hot and ready. Get the subscribe button even hotter. In fact, let it be so hot that it just burns your phone or your computer up. No, but seriously, we can use your follows, we can use your likes and supports.
Yes.
That's how you vote, of course, for confidence for us. So
for sure.
Today's episode, man, it's a really good one. I guess all of them are good in our opinion.
Right.
But we're really going to focus on can't. Because many people in today's society, and it's not just an overarching generalization, this is the truth, are crippled by can't.
Yes.
And there's a root of fear.
Absolutely.
And so we want to really talk to you, our listener and our viewer. Hopefully you'll gather something from this. But real quick, what are some thoughts immediately that come to mind when you hear the word can't? Because I know you don't like that word.
I hate it. I get excited, actually, because it is an indicator that it's something that I have to do. So if someone says, oh, you can't get a D1 scholarship from this environment or from the school, and you can't make it pro, and you can't do this because of whatever the statistical reason or even their own preconceived notion, I challenge it immediately. And it actually helps me understand that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah. I kind of flip it. I'm like, oh, you said I can't do that. So you must have insight into my future. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to work hard to make sure that I excel in it. And I'll invite you later when I'm done.
That's fun. Well, the reason why I asked you specifically is because you and I were laughing about a situation that you experienced when you were in New York.
Right.
So the hotel you stayed at.
Oh my gosh.
I guess
that's just one of the stories.
Yeah, but this is a very small story that I think anyone who listens will understand, and they'll be able to relate in their business or the athletic career or whatever.
Okay.
But the person at the front desk, I think you asked, could you have a bottle of water? Right.
Now, we have certain privileges with certain hotels.
Yeah, of course.
And this hotel I didn't have the membership that gave me a bottle of water.
Wink, wink.
So I'm like, okay. First, I was told, no, we don't have any bottles of water available. I'm like, that can't be true because in the room, I see a bottle of water. That's $8, right? So then I said, well, okay. And then the next day I had asked someone else just to see. And they're like, oh, yeah, here's a bottle of water. And I'm like, So either we don't have it or we do have it. So the hotel had it. Yeah. The next day, I asked again, hey, I'm getting off. I just wanted to see if you have an extra bottle of water. Got to stay hydrated. That's all I need, right? He gave me a whole case of water. Yeah. And that whole case of water, every day he said, hey, just come by. We always have water in the back stocked up. So a lot of people would stop at the no.
Yeah.
I hurdle that no. and I run over it as fast as I can, because I can hear what you're saying. But if I believe in my core that there's more that I have access to,
Sure.
I am not going to stop at a denial.
And I think that right there was the biggest statement you could have made. I'm not going to stop at one denial.
Absolutely not.
Man.
Absolutely not.
Well,
Why?
Well, because truth be told is a lot of people will tell you no,
Mm-hmm.
not based upon what you can't do,
Right.
but their perception of what they can't do.
Right.
In one instance, this person believed, I can't give you a bottle of water, or you can't have one.
Right.
And you're thinking, but I'm in this swank hotel downtown Manhattan.
Absolutely. Right there on Broadway.
You can't give me a bottle of
Right.
water. I mean, again, it's not that you can't afford your own bottle of water. You're just doing what is accustomed to hotel stays.
Absolutely.
But here's what's interesting. Most people, like you said, stop at no.
Right.
And that's what we really want to talk about today.
Absolutely.
So many people have things that they can accomplish and achieve in their life, but they won't.
Yeah.
And they keep pointing fingers at what everyone else has said or done, or why they couldn't achieve it because someone else got in the way, or this person said no.
Right.
When the truth is, the only time no works is when you accept no as the finality.
That's right.
It's one thing if it's illegal. It's one thing if it's immoral. It's another thing if it's unethical.
Right.
But if you're talking about access that you believe, not by entitlement's sake, but in a real honest outlook and saying, this is something that's fair game for everyone, then why are you allowing one person's no to be the final answer, keeping you from your yes?
A lot of people have fear.
Fear.
A lot of people have adopted fear, and they have taken an approach that is less courageous. They have adopted the, okay, if that's what you say, I won't push any further.
Wow.
I don't want to make a situation out of something. I know I'm thirsty, but I won't ask for it. And they'll just stop right there.
Yeah.
And there's others that will literally do the same thing. Oh, you said no? Okay, let me speak with management, because I know you have water and I just want one. I paid my hotel stay. I paid for it, so let me get one. And I think the root of fear is it's very cunning, because one might say, well, I'm just humble. Like, I don't want to ask. But there's also a sense of false humility with that.
And that's exactly what I was hoping you would say.
Absolutely. It is. And because if you're entitled to the water, or if you're entitled to the position, if you're entitled to the scholarship, go get it. It's yours.
If you really say you want it,
it's yours.
Get it.
Work hard for it and excel and go get it. Most of my life has been like that. I have heard no's, no, you can't, no, you won't, you will never. And every single time, at first I will say I got a little offended.
Sure.
Because it's like, you don't have faith in me? Like, I don't understand. Or it could have been jealousy. It could have been anything. But with that, I started understanding my inner voice was a lot stronger than their no. My inner voice is like a lion. It's like, oh, we're going to get it. We're going to do it. We're going to get that. And every single time I have.
Wow. And that's funny because, like you said, the inner voice, many of us, our root of fear is not combated by our courage. We have to have the courage to say, this is what I want. This is what I'm after. It's one thing, like I said, that, okay, let's be honest. We're in a time where a lot of people want something for nothing.
Of course.
Some people don't want to actually work for it. Some people, even in faith, don't even want to ask God for it. They'd rather just, you know what? I don't want it. I didn't want it that bad. I didn't need it. And then they look at their lives and they are in a constant state of regret because they've never actually pushed beyond the boundary of no. So they don't have an inner self that says, you said you wanted this, then go get it. If it's right in front of you, then ask more boldly. Or maybe that's not the person you need to be having the conversation with.
That's it. Find someone else.
Find someone else.
You mentioned a good point, the boundary of no. How can people understand the boundary of no if they don't have boundaries in place for their own lives?
For their own lives,
It's impossible. Right? So starting with a system and learning how to set up some type of healthy boundary for yourself will also help you when you talk to other people. They will help you to even respect, like people will respect you when you do have boundaries. If you don't, they'll invade it. And that's the worst. And they can invade it with the no.
And that's because you're leaving yourself
open,
defenseless.
That's right.
But there's an interesting story. I'll never forget it. And I don't remember who exactly it was that told this story.
Okay.
But anyone who knows anything about marathons or athletic events, especially the public ones, they're typically, you know, sponsors. And so this particular event, this runner learned a lesson that he uses now when he speaks.
Okay.
And basically what happened was he was running with a friend, and at the end of the whole race, they had like a line for bagels, right? So the rule is that at the end of the race, you can grab whatever it is you want.
Right.
Now, he is hungry. They finished this half marathon or whatever it was. And he's like, dude, can we go get a bagel?
Right.
His friend instantly looks over and says, that line's too long. So he perceives a no.
Right.
But he himself, again, his friend perceives a no. He himself says, dude, free bagel. So friend sees no, he sees free. So he walks over to the line. He reaches in and just grabs a bagel or two. The rule says you can grab whatever you want after the race. Just because people were standing in line doesn't mean that you can't get a bagel.
Of course.
But if you're accessing what's accessible to you,
Right.
and you do it in a presentable way, he said the only rule is you can't stop someone else from getting what they want.
Right. Correct.
The provision is there.
It's always there.
So accepting no as finality, instead of saying, okay, maybe there's another way, then you're actually cheating yourself out of whatever it is you feel purposed or feel is truly for you.
Right. Of course. And I think that there are people that innately have that in them.
I get that.
That will challenge the norm.
I get that.
Definitely you.
I'm
Definitely
a challenger
me
by
even.
nature.
I mean, even if it comes down to like you're driving up somewhere and the door looks like it's locked and closed.
Right.
And
check and
one
see.
person wouldn't check and the other person's like, let's just leave. And then the other person's like, no, I'm walking right up to
let
the
me
door.
just see if
and then
it's
it's open.
open.
So we've seen that many times.
Yes.
And one of the things about it is, when you innately are maybe more shy or introverted or like you don't want to ruffle any feathers, you may not be adept to do that. You may not even have that in you. However, when you do have someone around you that is going to push, let them push a little bit because it still will open up a door for the other person.
No, that's true too.
Let them push.
And I think that's a good point to make, is because sometimes we forget that our not accepting no is a yes for someone who will come behind us.
And that's leadership too.
And that's all leadership.
Right.
And we're not talking about just being abrasive, rude, bullish, or boorish.
Right.
But being able to say everything comes with a challenge or a test.
Absolutely.
And you have to have this, we talk about in our book, this essence of knowing your worth.
Right.
It's not just the no's that you need to be telling other people, but it's knowing your self-worth in such a way where you don't just accept no for face value.
Right.
Ask yourself a question before accepting no. What's really being said and why? Because sometimes the person that says no is not saying no, but they're afraid. So someone in the conversation has to be courageous enough to go get the resource that's needed. And then the other person who wasn't courageous enough, like the other employee, would say, oh, I didn't know we could have given waters. Well, fine. It's a small example, but it has a really big life implication.
Correct.
The one thing that I want to really make sure that we talk about too is a lot of times we're putting too much value on other people's no's. So some people internalize no. Right. And they take that no and then they make that and they embody it. Right. They become the no so much so that they feel like they can't have anything that has been meant for them and probably was destined for them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
They're walking in a constant, well, you know what, last time I went for it and they said no, so now that's going to stop me from applying for this.
Please.
That's going to stop me from going for this.
Right.
You know, I put in one application over here and they denied me, so why would I even try again? That's crazy.
That has a lot to do with victim mindset.
Absolutely.
Period. So when your mindset is wounded, and listen, we've been through trauma, we've been through things in life that have hurt and shaken us to our core.
Sure.
But there's a moment where you still have an inner voice that says, but I can.
That's right.
And that inner voice, it could be very soft, it could be very loud, but it's there to fuel you and it's there to push you into purpose. So purpose, also, a lot of people might think it's like your end calling. Like, what am I supposed to do in the end? What am I supposed to do for the grandiose time? However, your purpose could be in moments. It could be in the memory. And the moment you start adopting that voice, letting it become your identity, letting it transform your mindset and debilitate your inner voice, your inner strength, that's the moment you've got to really challenge yourself to understand that you are meant to do things. You are meant to break molds. You are meant to push yourself even more. And a lot of people we talk about challenge, they don't like to be challenged.
Now that's another thing.
That's another thing. Yes.
Some people actually hear no and accept it because they're afraid of challenge.
Oh, of course. Of course.
And now that one is a really good place to sit for a second.
Yeah.
Some people don't like to be challenged.
Right.
Don't have anybody in their life that can challenge them anyway. So whenever they experience challenge or friction in any way, they shut down.
Right.
And so now you miss the opportunity for growth.
Right.
Because growth comes through that friction.
Absolutely.
You look at any plant that has to come out of the ground, it has to overcome the resistance and the friction.
Yeah.
And I bet if we were able to put a microphone on plants and ask them how they're feeling through the process,
oh my gosh,
they'd be exhausted.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Especially
this is
pruning.
a lot.
Right.
And it's dark.
Right.
And this
Lonely.
ground and this gravel and all this stuff I have to come through, it hurts.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get to the top.
Right.
Because that's where the sun is.
Right.
That's where my source is.
Right.
That's where the resources are.
Right. That's right.
I am tired of being in this position. And I think that if we draw from that example, that's what we really have to get to.
Right.
We're like, I'm tired of always having the same things every day.
Yeah.
You don't stop here and think that it's going to change. That's called insanity.
Right.
If the plant stops its growth or stops the process of pushing through the ground,
right,
it could hear no. It can hear resistance. It can be like, yeah, it's too hard. You'll never get out of this. But just like the rose that grows in concrete, it literally grew through the middle of the street because it was relentless. It refused to accept no as the finality.
Let me tell you something. If I accepted all the no's in my life, I wouldn't be here right now.
You wouldn't be here right now.
I wouldn't even be speaking.
We wouldn't even be married.
We wouldn't be anything.
But think about it, because over the course, even when we got married young, people were like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. You guys are too young to be thinking this seriously and whatnot. And
these were divorced people talking to us.
Not just that, but it's now the same people who are like, man, look at your marriage. You got God blessing it. Look at the partnership. Look at the things you've built. And look at what, but we were like, that's what we were telling you from the beginning.
Right. And it's challenging.
Yes.
Your inner self.
Yes.
To not adopt the words of others. And the word of no.
Yeah. Yeah. Simply.
It's just so simple.
Simply.
It's so simple, but it's really worth fighting through. Not even for, just through.
Sure.
Because all throughout life, you're going to hear no so many times.
Yes.
It could be the color of your skin. It could be your size. It could be your height. It could be your voice. It could be anything. But the moment you understand your worth, the moment you understand who you are and adopt that authority and kick fear out of the room, you're unstoppable.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely unstoppable.
And there's another point to be made too. We always talk about this between each other. But man's rejection
is
God's protection.
Correct.
But even taking it further, it's also his redirection.
Right.
So a lot of people hear those cliches and they feel empowered because they're like, oh, yeah, God protected me, so I guess that's good. I don't have to do that. Well, you might be still called to do that.
Right.
And you're going to have to do it.
Right.
A lot of us like to feel that comfort of knowing that we tried.
Right.
Well, I tried.
Yeah.
I did my part.
Yeah.
I did my best. No, you didn't. Because your best is all of who you are.
Right.
It is being able to say, I don't care how hard it is. If this is what I am supposed to do, I am going to do it. And if it doesn't work out the way I expected, then I'm going to work something out because I'm expectant.
That's right.
That's a different mindset.
That's right.
I think what we're lacking and what we're trying to get our listeners and our viewers to understand is if you are not satisfied with where you are, what you have, who you see yourself as, what you want to become, then you have to have perseverance. You have to decide right now, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to the point that I see for myself, because wishes don't happen like that.
Right.
Everybody wishes, but a lot of people aren't willing to work for it.
Right. That's
or if you're a man or a woman of faith, and let's say God does bless you with it, a lot of people forget is even if he does that, then you will lose it.
Right.
Because you weren't willing to work on yourself.
Right. That's right.
To correct the mindset.
You have to put in the work. When I work with my clients, it's very interesting because there are so many blindsided moments in their lives that I've been able to oversee in a sense. I could see over what they're going through and into the next round of their life. And It's such a divine thing. But with that, the vision, the image that they have of their self, of what they want to do, of how they want to arrive or what they want to become, it's very clear. But the thing that starts muddling or making it very unclear is the moment they've adopted guilt, shame, fear, and no. It's so sad how long some take to fight, to even enter into the ring.
This woman said how long it takes for some people to just fight.
I can give them all the answers. I can give them a whole scope of this is what you have to do, this is how you have to do it, and when you have to do it. And they still won't do it. Now, I have some that are excelling, of course, reach their summits, their peaks.
Yeah,
they've done it and they're killing it,
Yeah, crushing it.
But to the ones that are not, and so maybe our audience can identify with, you know what you're supposed to be doing. You know what you want to do long term or how you want to become or arrive. But there is an inner fight that you're just not winning within yourself. And you're tired. You could be tired. You could be afraid. You could be not confident. And I challenge you this week to really understand who you are, because sometimes we get mixed identities. Who I am is a constant variable. This is who I am, right? And when you start to dig on the inside and start saying, well, this is who I want to become, well, you align with that. And you make sure that nothing comes in the way. I don't care if it's parents, grandparents, boss, any person's word that shadows over your vision, shadows over what your image is of your best self, destroy it.
Yeah.
Demolish it. You cannot arrive fully and become fully into that next level of your life if you're constantly in the back getting punched in the face in the ring by the voice of no, by discouragement, and by someone else's lack of vision for your life.
Right, for your life.
For your life.
Which, by the way, they're not entitled to have for your life. Right? Parents can direct. It even there's a scripture that says, raise up a child in the way that he should go. Right. And when you look at that, it says when they get old, they'll not depart from it.
Correct.
But the point of the matter is that's direction.
Right.
It's not your vision for them.
Right.
You see, this kid's got something here. So I need to support what help them have,
propel them
on the inside of them,
right?
Not what I see on the outside,
absolutely,
for them,
right?
It's a difference.
That's right.
But there's another thing you said that was really important because it brought something to mind. I was listening to Neil Davis, and he is he's an incredible entrepreneur. A lot of people probably know his name, but anyway, multi-millionaire, et cetera, retired his mom, retired his wife, all that. They both got fired from the same job at the same time, he and his wife, and he changed his life around. And then now they're like, they could own the place, right? But the point he was making is he was expressing, he said, if I had, just like you said, listened to all the times no was given to me, he said, I would not have anything that I have today. He said, in a prime example, and this is an example I relate to,
right.
I come from Mississippi, nothing wrong with my family, nothing like that, but I did not understand travel was possible. I didn't understand. I had no vision in my mind of the probability of leaving the United States. I had never even been on an airplane until I was recruited for my university.
Wow.
This is the mindset I grew up from. Now, mind you, no fault of their own. I have wisdom enough to try to dissect why people do what they do. That's why I say we have to ask why a person says what they say in ourselves,
where's it coming from?
So that we can observe it and then say, okay, that's where they are, but this is where I'm trying to go.
Correct.
But he said, my grandmother said to me, why you want to travel so much? It's dangerous. It's dangerous in all these countries. He said, Grandma, it's dangerous right here. He's like, don't you watch the news? You see what's happening on the street?
Correct.
You see what? And he's like, look at where we live. I think he lives in Philly or something like that. He's like,
oh, shoot.
It's
Philly.
dangerous here. He's like, in fact, it is more safe in many of these countries I've been to than it is right here on my block.
Right.
And he said, but if I had just heard that every time I told people that's my dream, I want to get out of the country, I want to go see things, I would have taken that on for myself, and that no would have been my cage, my prison.
No.
Because I would have limited myself. Now, here's what I want to say. I would have limited myself. I started off this segment talking about how oftentimes what we do is we point at everyone else.
Correct.
They can say no,
right,
but the no has no power till we accept it.
That's right. That's right.
If we accept that as the truth and make it our truth, then we are literally in a belief system that is based upon a lie.
That's right. And fear. Period.
Because now I believe that I can't.
Right.
And there's a question I love to ask, and it's really funny for anyone who remembers the original Coming to America, because it was the best one by far. Jaffe Joffer asked the question to Mr. McDowell when the wrong information was presented about his son and his servant. And he turns and he looks to the camera and he says, "Who told you that?" I know nobody's, like, for instance, you have to watch the movie. If you don't get it, it's hilarious. But the point is, you have to ask yourself, who told you that you can't? Who told you?
That's right.
Identify it.
Right.
And then look at why they may have said it, and then remind yourself, after no matter who it was that said what, you told you.
Right. And then when I hear it, this is practical wisdom and advice for someone
Sure.
that continues to hear that voice.
Man, I'm getting excited. I'm trying to keep my voice
It
down.
can become traumatic.
Yeah.
A cycle of what someone else said over your life, spoke over your life, and you're walking in the shadow of that. But one of the most beautiful things, I said this earlier, and I'll loop it back in, is when someone says you cannot, you will not, you, whatever the no is or negation is, flip it. That's all you have to do.
That's really the answer.
I smile. Like, I've had some of the worst haters tell me that I'm not going to, I cannot, even recently. And I just laugh. I laugh because I'm like, wow. And some people I even thank. I'm like, thank you so much for saying that.
You've actually said that.
As insulted as they might feel, I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care, because I cannot adopt anything that is negative over my life. I've worked too hard in my soul, in my spirit, in my heart to accept something, and my mind, rerouted my mind many times and rewired it and refreshed it. But I cannot accept someone else's no or their words if that's not what I'm in agreement with. So
you said
with
something.
that, right. So with that, I'm going to partner with what I believe in. And if they give me a hint of my future, Yvana, I don't know if you could ever be in this industry. I don't think you can. So wait a minute.
Wait a second.
What are you actually saying?
What are you actually saying?
You're saying that you see me in this industry, that you might be jealous of me getting in that industry and demolishing it and excelling. So what I'm going to do is say, thank you so much. You can even practice that this week. Go to someone that says a no for you or no to you. Go even in your mind. Start practicing in your mind.
Some people might get punched in the face.
Some.
Yeah, so
but
just
go into your mind.
Yourself.
Let's go into the inner core belief. Go into your mind and start practicing and start saying, oh yeah, I do remember that person that told me no.
Which means I can.
And I do a lot of work with my clients in the mirror.
Yeah,
because you're just seeing into the windows of your own soul.
That's right.
So go into the mirror and try this. I remember when I was hurt, when there was trauma, when there was pain because of what this person said to me. I am now going to reroute what they said, rewire it, and I'm going to say to myself, I am
statements.
Going to accomplish this.
That's right.
I am going to take the hint of what they said I can't do, and I'm going to crush it. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to propel my life forward, and I'm going to every single time be very intentional about removing the no's and removing the negations and walking into my positive, my truth, and my worth.
Yeah.
That's it.
Man. And that, in our book, we call pushing the limit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to push the limits.
Pushing the limits is all we've talked about.
Yeah.
Overcoming, hurdling. I mean, those are all pushing a limit.
Yeah.
So do it. Just
Push
do
the
that. Yeah. Just push your own limit and push the limitations of others
That's
off
right.
your life.
Off of your life.
That's
you
it.
don't have to live with limiters.
What chapter is that in?
Well, I don't even remember exactly what chapter
I'll pull it
is,
up.
but I can tell you right now.
New book.
Chapter 5. Push the limit.
I was going to say. I was
Chapter
going to tell
5.
you.
Chapter 5. Hey, good.
I was going to tell
my
you.
head. Hey.
Chapter 5. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. But there's
Finish
some other concepts that you just hit to that we want to leave our listeners with and our viewers with is you have to know how to listen to whispers in the wind.
Right.
We've talked about that the whole time, but we hadn't put a topic to it on purpose because we want to make sure we leave them with us.
Yeah.
Whispers in the wind. When someone says to you one thing, you have to listen intently.
Yeah.
Quietly. This is the third time I'm repeating this in a different way.
Yeah.
So what are they really saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if you're in, let's use this as an example. We don't take or make light of any situation that people are in. So if we're saying this to you, we hope that this is inspiration to you.
Right.
But let's say someone's in an abusive relationship that they know they need to get out of.
Right.
But someone says to them, you'll never find someone better than me.
Yeah.
They're not saying that as truth.
They're not.
They're expressing to you that it's absolutely
It's so
the
possible.
opposite.
It's so
that you are so worthy to be loved.
Oh, yeah.
That I know for a fact that I can't love you the way you deserve.
Come on.
If I at any moment take my eye off you and you happen to get out of my control, you will love someone with the same intensity you've always deserved and receive that love. They're saying all of that.
Yeah.
But what you hear is the no.
Right. Right.
You've got to KNOW.
Come on. That's right.
Your worth.
That's right. That's it.
You have to know your worth.
That's it.
It's the know that's wrapped in what you should know about yourself.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And if you want to follow along, that is it's on page 132 in our book, The Flight of Your Life, The Power of Propulsion. And you have the power. You have the power not to settle. You have the power to defy your no's, and you have the power to know your worth. So it's your turn to activate yourself. We're going to wait.
Well, that was an incredible episode. We hope that you took something from it.
Yes.
And we want to give you encouragement. Maybe today when you're at your job, really evaluate it. Maybe there's a promotion that you should go for.
Yeah.
Just because you got to know the first time doesn't mean that it's not for you.
Correct.
Maybe you're an athlete and they took you off of that starting position. Sometimes no isn't a no. It's just not yet.
Right.
Or
Absolutely.
not ready.
Right.
So if you need a speaker and you're a corporation or an event planner, 2 professional speakers and presenters right here. We do it for a living. Check us out on our website. You can see that right in front of you. If you like the content, you have questions, comments, please, if you want to add to the conversation, we want to learn from you too. We also want to know if there's something we can engage with that will help you grow. Maybe there's something you've been working through.
That's right.
Do us a favor, subscribe, like, but add something in the comments and share. All right. Until next time, this is Coach Charles.
Bye. And Yvana.